the Executive Council was inaugurated with the charge to hit the ground running. As in, I've heard that word, hit the ground running, since President Tinubu became president numerous times. I don't know how many times I've heard that. How many more times I can hear it again, hit the ground running. So there's some people hit ground self, their leg break. So let's go like this. Let me ask Dr. Majid first. I'll come to you, Mukhtar. Dr. Majid, first things first. I like doing most of my things myself. Yes. I mean, they say if you want something, don't do it yourself. So that's me. If I am the president, I will be the minister of this. I'll probably have like maybe you and Mukhtar beside me. And that's my own thinking. But what is the significance of having 48, right? 48 council members. Why should they be 48? What's the significance?
Okay, first, I think they're 45 for now.
Oh, 45. Oh.
They proposed 48, but three names were dropped.
Were dropped, yes.
So 45 has been inaugurated.
Yes.
Okay, first, the constitution only requires you to have 36 actually. From the 36 states of the federation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you need to have ministers? It's simple. It's for the purpose of delegated authority. The president cannot be everywhere at the same time individually. So to head the various departments, or what we call ministries in Nigeria and agencies, you need people that are fit for purpose. So they are exercising your power. So 36 ministers is like 36 presidents in the different 36 ministries, really. Because they meet with you regularly. You tell them what you want in this ministry. They go there and help you execute it. And you have KPIs that you issue them and monitor them to be sure that they are compliance with your KPIs and that they are delivering also on those KPIs. So it is standard practice in modern governance structure across the world to have delegated authority in form of ministers, or some people they call it secretaries, but it's essentially the same thing, heads of departments of government. Now, 45 is overbloated, and a country that is struggling with all we are struggling with. So I had thought the president would have stuck with 36 or at most 37, including the FCT, which is good. At least FCT people have a representative now in the cabinet, fine. Because even 36 is too large, for example, compared to other countries. But constitutionally, we are supposed to have 36 for the purpose of inclusivity. But the good thing is, I think he started the inauguration of his cabinet on a very good note, which I find very fascinating and very interesting too. If only they will walk their talk. He said something like, go and fetch water from a dry well. That is the role of government. A government is supposed to perform magic. That's why in government. If you can't perform magic, please don't go to government. For us as children growing up, when your father goes out every day and brings back bread and milk for you to eat, it's magic to you because you don't even know what he has gone through to make that available. So citizens are like children in a family. Those in government are like the fathers and the providers. Do what you have to do. All I want is
make it work.
Bread on the table. So he told them, draw water from dry well. It means Nigeria is in dire straits, so go and crack the numbers. Go and squeeze water out of stone. That is quite good. And they also indicated that they're not going to take more loans than we're already taking because we cannot absorb more. It's quite good. And they're going to explore ingenious ways. He also cautioned against tribalism, nepotism, and all forms of sectionalism. That our president is aware of the damages these corrupt practices have cost us, and enough to say it at the inauguration of his cabinet is something that I find heartwarming. That is, he's giving a philosophical direction to his government. But again, these things must be matched with actions. It's very important. Beyond the talk. So otherwise, he's inaugurated them and they've started working. A number of them have been seeing the activities here and there. And so far so good. Even though it came a bit late in the day, because for me, he should have inaugurated his cabinet within 2 weeks maximum of his inauguration.
Yeah, I remember when after the election and he was traveling, you kept on saying you should sit and start putting together your
cabinet. So once they inaugurate you, within 1 week, they inaugurated the National Assembly, you send it as your first item of demand. They clear them within 2-3 weeks, they're in place so that you start the work because you need them to help you work. So otherwise, having ministers is something that is line and is consistent with modern governance structure.
Great. Okay, so Mukhtar, I'll still come back to you on this question I'm about to ask Mukhtar. What are your expectations of these council members? So we're not talking about the president, and the president have given them their KPIs. He has given them their task, their task to go out there and make it work. What is your what should we be expecting from them?
To be honest,
and the truth is, it can go both ways, bad, good.
So to be honest, there are people that I expect a lot of things from, and there are people that I don't expect anything from. I expect them to just be there, and then we will now see what will
filling
happen.
up space.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I say that. Now, having the coordinating minister of finance, a solid guy with a solid track record, you expect difference, a lot of difference. Having like the coordinating minister of health and welfare, and person of Professor Pate, is someone with proven integrity. I mean, he has collected. He was to resume a job of being the CEO of Gavi before he dropped to come and become a minister. He was one time a minister of state for health, and he has done massively around the Primary Health Care Development Agency. He was the former DG of MPHCDA. He has done well. And then having young people like Bosun Tijani, who has done a lot of things around employment and the IT, having him in the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is something massively, right? These people are, and many other people, that are coming from the State Minister of Health is someone that has done massively well, 2G or something. And then there were a lot of people. There are career bankers that have done good in their previous jobs. And then there are worst people. And I will not mince word.
Yeah, we'll go.
I'll give you an example with the former governor of Zamfara State. This is a governor that academically, right? Academically, with the kind of thing we call academics in Nigeria, he is fit to be there, but not as fit as what we expect him to do. I mean, this is someone that was announced to have only 2 credits in his SSC. 2 credits.
Does it really matter?
It matters. So let me give you an example. If you ask me this question, it will just get me off. If you said,
please never vex, never vex.
Because I tell you what. You take a look and see any ministry he was given, any ministry he is given with 2 credits, it's a slap on our faces. To say now he is a state minister of defense. Defense. Nigeria has been in one way or the other issues of war for the past 10 to 15 years. Right?
True.
From the northeastern part of the country, now we're having
Northwest.
issues in the northwest part of the country, to the south part of the country,
even in the southeast
and northeast, southeast part of the country. The only stabilized region,
and that's
this
to some
country,
extent,
to some extent, is southwest.
West.
Right? So we've been having a lot of issues, and among the entire generals that we keep driving out, you did not see anybody to employ as a minister of defense is someone with 2 credits that has fallen woefully managing a state like Zamfara. I tell you what, I'm coming from the civil society world, maybe the NGO space, where the governor make a pronouncement. We had a project in Zamfara. He made a pronouncement just one day, no reason, nothing, that he has banned all NGO activities in the state when he was a governor.
Why so?
Nobody knows. People like Bela Melinda Gates moved out their resources from that state. People like Angote Foundation moved out their resources from that state. Go and check, right? And then these are the kind of people we come. You know what they did in that pattern of appointment is a reward of service. And we don't need it as a country for now, right? If you want to reward him, keep him in your cabinet as a kitchen cabinet. He should be a cabal. And then give him something. So what am I saying? Every sector in this country, every sector deserve reform. We need a total reform in our sector.
Especially the security aspect of everything, because nobody is going to bring money into an insecure environment.
So, should I tell you one thing?
Hit me.
The minister, the senior minister in the Ministry of Health is someone that has a track record in business. From his Talamis, he has done a lot of things in business. He has held a lot of, he has a lot of achievement before becoming a governor of Jigawa State. And Jigawa State is one of the states that has never been tested by any major security issues. He is the senior minister in the Ministry of Defense, and then a governor that have fell woefully. I will repeat myself. Is now the junior minister.
No
of
apologies.
Defense. No apology for that, right? So imagine having Wale, Professor Ali Pate, Bosun Tijani, and other cabinet members seated as ministers, and then
you now have
Mutawale to sit down as a minister too.
Square peg around holes.
The reality is, this is my own perspective of things. I am not saying you must undergo some level of Western education to be able to do something.
I get you now.
But what I am saying is, you must have some level of track record. I bet you this. When you invited me and told me that this is the issue, if it is an issue I cannot talk about, I tell you, working in an organization, the organization I work for, if you call me and said, we're going to discuss about climate change, I will ask you, is it on climate smart education? If you said, no, it's on a different thing, I'll tell you, no, I'm not the best suit for this. There is another person. If it is on gender-based violence, it's something that all of us can talk about, but I'll tell you, this is someone that is fit for. So that's why I said there are people that we expect a lot of things from, and there are people that, to be honest, whatever they do, I will just say, God, nah, just vibe and inshallah, we'll be running. You get. So, but the reality is, Nigeria is our country. I told you I'm a believer of process, right? I will not want to say I want someone to learn on the job. Today,
not even that type of job.
Yeah. So I tell you this, today, I used to barb 500 before. But as I grow, I move to barbing 1.5. Now I barb for 3,000. If I get there to barb, if the guy that...
When are you barbing next?
Yeah.
When are you barbing next?
I'm telling you, if the guy that usually barb me is not there, I go back. Because I don't want you to learn on me. It's not that I have a problem with you growing to be perfect, but don't learn on me. So there is no way we'll have someone resume office as a minister of defense. He was the number one citizen in his state, and he did nothing, right? So I don't want him to come and say, this is what we have. If we're going to have a serious military intelligent conversation across the world, you get, what will you say? I tell you this, that maybe one of the things I'll say last year, I happened to travel with a senator one time. We became friends now. I will not want to mention his name, but I told him, every day I am to give an example, I'll give an example with him. We went to Kenya. I swear, we were having a serious conversation around education and climate change, and conversation. Every minister of every country is bringing smart ideas. To God who made me, that senator was sleeping.
Yo!
And when they wake him up to just contribute to the conversation, he could not contribute anything. And I bet you this, I will mention name. The next conversation was on open government partnership. One of the big things we were doing, funded by Skoll Foundation, was trying to look at health sector accountability. So we're looking at the framework of open government partnership. And we have the Minister of Justice, Malami Den, as the co-chair from the government side of the open government partnership. And then the new co-chair coming in then was the Minister of Finance, Zainab Shamsuddin, something.
Yeah.
She has been paying attention to that kind of conversation. But our minister in that meeting, I was seated there looking at me. He could not say anything. It's the woman, the Minister of Finance, that had to interject and then come into the conversation. And she
came
started,
to the rescue, basically.
Yeah, she started saying this and this and this. What am I trying to say?
Now I understand.
It's not just about the Nigerian cover that we are protecting. We are also protecting our name so that when they sit in a table, imagine having Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala sitting as a Minister of Finance from a country. Do you know that I have come to realize that donors all over the world don't give you money because you know how to present this thing very well. They give you money because they trust you and they believe you are going to deliver. So tell me to believe and trust Mutawalli or Badaru is going to deliver as Minister of Defense. So the reality is, I'll be straight and direct to you. I expect a lot of things because I'm a believer of system. I'm a believer of process. I want to believe sometimes, I don't believe that we should pray for people in government. Like the president said, my guy, I asked for this job, so I must deliver. Criticize me. So I just want to say, let's criticize these people positively. Let's extract the best thing. Because the reality is we don't have opposition in this country and we don't have ideology. The ideology we have is the ideology of politicians. They give us religion and sentiment and they will make us just be running, and when they find themselves elsewhere, they will relate gist and do this thing. So I expect a lot of things from them. The numbers are many. I expect many things. And there are people that I will personally lose confidence on them if they don't deliver. Personally.
So there are people that you are sure
high
that
hopes
they should perform.
There are people that I'm just
don't.
looking at them is vibe and inshallah, like I said earlier.
Okay, Dr. Wajid, are you calling names?
No. He's called enough names already.
But the truth is this, Dr. Wajid, what are the key performance indicators that we should put in place that we would use to judge everybody at the end of the day when the judgment day comes?
Good governance.
Good. For me, good governance is relative. I mean, some people that got this palliative will say, good governance.
No, that's not good governance. Improvement in your life, your security and welfare. For example, if what you are earning today begins to take you home because certain policies are not put in place that have brought down inflation, cost of living, that is an outcome of good governance. If your security has improved now that you can travel from Abuja to Kaduna without worrying about
at any time,
it means security has improved. When your salary now begins to increase even from this level too, as you work harder, you get reward, the organization is getting more money from advert revenues and all, because the economy is booming. Nobody needs to tell you that things have improved. And we witnessed this improvement between 1999 and 2007. Yes, as recently as that. When Obasanjo became president, Nigeria was indebted to the tune of about $30 billion. Our foreign reserve was less than $5 billion. Minimum wage was 3,000 naira. OBJ raised minimum wage to 5.5 and implemented it at 7.5 for federal workers. Above the minimum. Obasanjo paid above minimum wage. OBJ was able to save up money.
And that was when our foreign reserves went up.
Yes.
And paid all our debt on Paris Club.
He paid $12 billion to get us $18 billion debt forgiveness. But he paid 12. I mean, can you imagine the government that saved $12 billion to pay off debt? You can begin to wonder, what magic did he do? Secondly, Obasanjo, when he was leaving, he left behind an excess crude account. This is the first time we're hearing of such thing. That is, OBJ said, look, I was able to save money, and I'm leaving behind $9.8 billion cash. After growing the foreign reserve from $5 to $35 billion, OBJ expanded the public sector and created projected jobs massively, created institutions, stabilized the economy, and we saw an emergence of a middle class under Obasanjo. If you recall, it was under Obasanjo that people started buying brand new cars once again with their salaries.
Yes.
People began to buy homes with mortgages attached to their salary. So that's what we call improvement. It was sustained up until 2015, where thereabout. We saw it die deep. We hope that this government will also do
the same.
Now, what were those things Obasanjo did right? First, in 1999 when he was elected, OBJ's cabinet was in place 6 days later.
So that means they, quote unquote, hit the ground running.
OBJ changed the GMD of NNPC on the night of May 29th, 1999, and brought somebody he feels he can work with.
He didn't make himself the petroleum minister.
He made himself petroleum minister, but he changed the GM. That is,
the GM of NNPC.
The day he was inaugurated, that was the night he fired the man and brought somebody else. And we saw an attempt to instill integrity in governance. He created the ICPC, created the FCC, and raised consciousness about corruption and public service delivery through Servicom. We saw an effort. Most importantly, Obasanjo made sure he appointed the right person. And this speaks directly to what Modi was trying to say. Look at Obasanjo's ministers. Look at Obasanjo's appointees. It was devoid of ethnicity and religious consideration. I can quote him anywhere. I can say this anywhere. For example, when Obasanjo identified NAFDAC and fake drug as a problem. So he said, look, successive deeds of NAFDAC have been compromised by the cabal that control fake drug syndicates in Nigeria. So who is that person that can be appointed that will have the level of integrity that can resist this temptation from this cabal? And somebody told him that, look, I know of a lady called Dora Kunyeli, and that Buhari told me a story. This same Buhari told me a story about her integrity, why she was working with PTF, about how she returned money that was already paid to her for medical treatment when she didn't end up spending all of the monies. That was the story. So you have the person's number. DJ called and made that DJ NAFDAC. Did she perform or did she not perform?
Perfectly.
Perform is an understatement. She put her life on the line to make that job a success.
So, Obasanjo never really liked El-Rufai as a person because they are diametrically opposed in terms of. But Obasanjo identified the talent in this man and the knowledge he brought to bear. First, it was during representation. OBJ is a good representation in principle. But when Obasanjo decided to adopt the principle of privatization, he said, where is the young man who made that very beautiful presentation about privatization during his initial committee briefings? El-Rufai is in Kaduna. They announced his appointment before he arrived at Abuja. Well, for that, for good or for bad, I don't support privatization, you know.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people lost a lot of things during that.
He was able to actually do it in one way or the other. And we felt the impact, either positive or negative, but he was able to move Nigeria toward privatization and privatize a number of public enterprises. And when it was time to restore the Batman of Abuja, they said, who is that stubborn person that will not bring him there? And OBJ led the first demolition personally. First one.
No, really?
OBJ went to hit hammer on the house. The first house to be demolished.
Fun facts.
Yes. And when his friends were affected by demolition, I told them, let us lead by example. Allow this house to go. You can get another one now. Allow this house to go. I'm talking about cabinet members. Yes. That is actually by example. And so, he wasn't without his own downside, but he left Nigeria better than he met it. And making an example for us to know that it is possible. Good governance is not elusive. It's possible. So, today, why you cannot hold ministers individually accountable is because they don't exercise their own authority. Let me explain this to you. In a parliamentary system of government, parliamentary, you can hold ministers accountable for their individual actions. It's a coalition government.
Okay.
So ministers are appointed based on their party and individual ideologies.
Okay.
So if, for example, the Conservative Party of UK and the Labour Party are forming an alliance, maybe the leader of the alliance is, let's say, the Labour Party. And for any reason, the Labour Party decides to appoint a foreign affairs minister. Or no, maybe interior minister, in terms of immigration now, from the Conservative Party. That conservative is expected to go and restrict immigration. Simple. Because they're a conservative person. So the kind of things Preeti Patel are doing, that's what they do. They restrict it, they try to make
because
it up
it's their ideology.
It's ideology. So you're expected to do
It's
that.
something to be expected.
Simple. So if you appoint a Labour person as immigration minister, you open up the borders and everybody should come in. So these are things you expect. So you can hold them individually accountable for their respective
ideologies.
But see, the presidential system, no. The minister is not responsible for his action. It is the president. According to Section 4 of the Constitution, anything the minister does or does not do is assumed to have been ordered or approved by the president. That's why all eyes must be on the president, not the minister. It's important to let people know this. So if the minister is not performing, for example, and he's still on his job, It is the president that left him there. That means he's performing to the satisfaction of the president, but maybe not to the satisfaction
of the people.
Yes. So let us tell the president to set the right agenda for his ministers. And if they're not performing according to par, we don't need to shout for 6 months before you fire them and hire better ones. It's not a tenured office. So the practice direction, the confidence direction should be set by the president. Though I commended his statement when he was inaugurated them, but that is not enough. You need to
walk the talk now.
Yes. You see, again, I'll tell you, sir, everything rises and falls on leadership. If you think anything can happen without leadership, no. Nothing can happen. That person at the top, he needs to lead. It's called leadership, leading. You don't just occupy an office. So if he leads well, they will follow. It's a normal, you don't have to, it's effortless. But you have to have integrity as a leader and sincerity of purpose. No double standards.
What problem do you see for this group, this pack
of ministers?
I
think he has said it without necessarily putting it where I would have put it. This is a compensation list.
Wahala.
So let me tell you, the expectation is that they are to dispense patronage. It is because it's a compensation list that you have a Mutawali as Minister of Defense. With due respect. Mutawali was governor of Zamfara. We know his performance as governor of Zamfara. He lost an election. But Mutawali was able to secure Zamfara for the president as one of the 2 states he won in the Northwest. The same to Badaru. He only won Jigawa where Badaru was governor. And Zamfara where this man was governor. He had to compensate them. So what it means is that they may not be there necessarily to deliver improved national security. But to use that office to oil the machinery and compensate for the losses they suffered
when they were trying to help the president.
Yes, that is the real danger. So the configuration of our political system is such that patronage is still the reward for political participation, whereas it is supposed to be good governance. For example, if the president appoints the best available person in the whole world that's of Nigerian origin as defense minister for a war-torn country like Nigeria, once that person is able to stabilize this country and improve security, but that will benefit and his family. The man from Zamfara will benefit and his family. Ultimately,
that's how to look at it.
Their businesses will benefit. But now you put them there. If they're not able to make this impact, they suffer in the long run. And a lot of us keep suffering. So like you said, put them in your kitchen cabinet. From your security vote, that's their money. Orthodoxy that Nigeria has been running on is one that has proven to be faulty and cannot deliver good governance and development. How do I mean? Wale Edun was advisor to the president when the twin decision to move subsidy on petrol and float the Naira was taken. Guess what, sir? Right now, subsidy has been restored. And the Naira has been unfloated. You know why?
Why?
Because we are floating towards Zimbabwe and Venezuela at the same time.
Okay, so for those that have been following Middleground Podcast, and please don't forget to subscribe, yes, like, share, and comment on what these 2 gentlemen have been speaking about. If you don't like, well, there are some people that will disagree with you, obviously. They will definitely disagree. So please always drop a comment, like, share, subscribe. Yes. So, if you have been a follower of this podcast, where we treated what should we do with the savings from subsidy money, you remember Dr. Maggi said, oh, well, money not there anywhere. We are not saving any money. Oh, so you see, so this subsidy is back. And he also said it that, look, there is no country that can survive without energy security. I think he's right again. I told you. Then Dr. Maggi, let's open a church for you now.
Will you pay tithe?
Don't worry, we'll pay tithe from contributions from our
They've
fans.
restored subsidy at 617 naira because the calculation, the thinking behind subsidy one has proven to be not exactly accurate. So the price of petrol was going to go up ad infinitum and rupture the economy. And the Naira floated was going to simply continue to depreciate. Even as we speak, the Naira is still struggling. And so it has become a problem for the economy. And so what are they doing? They have started intervening through the iron window to stabilize it. But the damage has been done already. What am I saying? Hope we don't have more of these ideas being churned out that will cause damage that they will not try to remedy at the end of the day through palliative measures. So we think we need to have a rethink. You see, Benue cannot be available. Benue today is one of Nigeria's most fertile agricultural belts. Benue, Cross River, Taraba, Plateau. And none of these state governments have been able to invest in the value chain of planting, cultivation, harvesting, processing, storage, and distribution, as is done in other countries. You hear that Thailand is the largest exporter of rice. You think it's just farmers in Thailand that are farming and exporting? No. The government is involved from the moment you are planting that rice to the point it is exported to another country. Government is involved all through strategic investment in the entire value chain, so as to make rice out of Thailand cheaper than one from Vietnam, from India, and other rice growing countries. And they do it through subsidy. It's an investment in rice production for the purpose of export competitiveness and price mechanism. What am I saying? The government of Benue cannot sit down anymore.
Time is over.
Time is over and not do anything in Benue to make sure that the wealth, the agri-wealth of Benue, the massive agro endowment is converted into wealth for the people. Look at Kaduna. People praise Governor Rufai for infrastructural development in Kaduna. Okay. But the poverty in Kaduna and the indebtedness of Kaduna is such that it's not sustainable. Why? There is no productivity. All the textile industries in Kaduna, if you don't revive those textile industries, if you like, tar all the roads in Kaduna, those who cannot pay for themselves. Look at Kogi where I come from. The other day we are calling with Dangote that is making trillions of naira from Ibadan and cement factory and we don't have a share in it because you didn't invest a kobo in it. It's not your own.
Abi?
It is Dangote's own.
You want to eat where you didn't sow?
Dangote came and said, okay, take 10%, I'll pay for 90%. You couldn't pay for your 10%, and Dangote took over the 10% from you and invested the money in producing cement. So today you are seeing the trillions in investment in a profit he's making, but you didn't see the investment he made. Imagine if Kogi had invested then in Dangote cement factory or built its own and run it well, integrity, run it well. The trillions today we are eyeing at Dangote would have been coming to our coffers. We don't have to rely on 7 or 8 billion naira per month from federation accounts.
Mukhtar. Okay, so that is his own opinion as to what we see as the problems these ministers might face. Now, you've spoken about square peg in round holes, which is like it is pervading all the sectors in every part of the public sector. Is there a way where we can balance? Because you see, it's easy for us to just say, okay, fine, just like Dr. Majid alluded to, somebody helped somebody to win election. It's normal for you to say thank you. Is there a way that we can balance? And this is without sending the person to the kitchen cabinet. Because we all know, these men, their mouths don't expand. They are suffering from chronic expansion of the mouth. Kitchen cabinet no go fit do it. How do you think we can balance politics and governance? Because we are dealing with human beings and old people, old human beings. They have a different way of looking at things compared to me and you.
So for me, I will go back to places to see maybe where did the other people got it wrong, and then how I can make it better. So I think that's what I expect from the people coming in new. But just so you know, there are people coming in for the second time, right? So what am I trying to say? Some people were there before you. Some people will be there after you. So can you, as a minister or as a president or as a government in system, can the government look at what were the system that worked and what were the system that did not work? Maybe invest their time in that particular things that did not work so that we can create a niche for ourselves and for the country so that we can address these issues. And the issues are maybe investing in food security and agriculture, right? investing heavily in issues of import and export, right? Investing heavily in issues of human capital development, investing heavily in issues of health and welfare, right? Investing heavily in issues of defense and security, internally and externally. Now, and then investing in things that the world is tailoring towards, from tourism, AI, innovations. We have to be innovative, right? And then I know the only presidential candidate, which is the president that we have now, that has been talking about, what is this word he used? Government of collective impact, right? Bringing people from all ramification, all political parties, like what we are seeing now. Wike might be an APC and PDP member at the same time, and he's a
PAPDP. APDP.
And he's a minister, right?
Yes.
So I think these are things that we should be looking at. We should be looking at that serious import and export, that investment in agriculture and food security, that issues of human capital development, that issues of cost of governance, right? That issues of, allowing every arm of government run it on its own. And then the biggest thing, which is maybe Ministry of Information and Orientation, like they call them, to also invest heavily in trying to create trust between the citizen and people, and between government, and from government to
the
people.
citizen.
So let's bring people that if they talk, people will trust them. One of the things I learned from people that are not trustworthy, right, was when we were campaigning for COVID vaccine. Someone told me in a village that if to say I saw you as Mukhtar taking vaccine, I would have taken. But seeing Buhari taking does not say anything to me.
Wow. Anyway, your final words.
You get. So my final words will be, to be honest, government have their own fault, have their own worries, and have their own constituent. As citizens, we have our own fault, we have our own constituents, and then we have what we can do. So understanding that democracy is all about demand and supply, question and answer. These guys asked us question to vote for them, and we did to some extent, right? So issues of legitimacy of that should be allowed to the
die down.
The judiciary, right?
Let's focus on governance.
So let's focus on governance. In focusing on governance, let's ask question, like let's demand for that thing that we call governance, and also let's also do our own bit. Because you cannot ask what you don't know. Let's begin to study more about governance. Let's understand the government budget. I know the Office of the Budget and Planning is rolling out issues of citizen budget document and what have you. Let's really look at these things, and let's also believe that, a lot of people lost focus on the country. Let me not say focus, lost trust in the system.
And hope.
So a lot of people think that going out of the country will solve the problem.
But not for good governance. When you supply to us, we would trust you as a valuable supply chain of good governance. It's as simple as that.
And you have the right to control our lives.
Yes.
As our government.
That is what the government is all about. As citizens, you've submitted your sovereignty to them in exchange for security and welfare. So, where your citizen responsibility stops is to be law-abiding.
That's all they owe you as the government.
No, that's what you as citizens owe the government.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the citizens owe the government
law
to be law-abiding. You are not scattering anything. You are not fighting. You are not burning.
But in turn, you are supposed to give us welfare and security.
To say, for being law-abiding, take good governance.
And I'm saying, look at the other BRICS countries. Let's not talk about G7 BRICS. Their leadership is high on integrity, competence, meritocracy, such that the best foot is always put forward in every aspect of governance, so that they can actually deliver on the mandate of governance, which is security and welfare for citizens. In summary.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. If we sit down here, we'll be here till next tomorrow. But hey, we have to go. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Majid. Thank you very much for always coming when we call you.
Thank you very much.
Mukhtar, there's a lot we have to do together, especially with following the money.
We need to.
Because we really, really need to, not only follow the money, follow the integrity, follow the good governance, follow those traits that eventually now turns out to become the money.
Sure.
Thank you for coming. All right, everybody, that's it on this episode. We're out.